Hello and welcome back to Open. Rhina Valentin here, living from the inside out. That's our next segment. That's right. This is a counseling, coaching, and mentoring service offering guidance and support to women ready to recreate themselves and their lives. The work includes a simple mediation, cognitive techniques, and using the CHING, which is the oldest, most accurate oracles, as a tool for what? A greater self-understanding. And here to tell us more is award-winning writer, producer Toni Roberts. Hello and welcome.
Hi, Rhina. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's start with how you even came to find this to be your cause in gearing and leading women into finding a better understanding of self.
I guess it must have started from being a broken woman myself. I am a product of an alcoholic family, domestic abuse, physical abuse. That has been my history. And then, of course, what do we do when we're abused in our nuclear family? We marry abusive men. So I had 2 abusive husbands. And I finally learned that healing, that first of all, that I was wounded, that I was a broken woman.
Right.
Because only broken people keep on repeating patterns that work against them and not for them.
Right.
So once I went into therapy, acknowledged the fact that I was a broken woman, I found that the only way to healing was to go deep, deep, deep inside of myself and touch on that. Some people call it the Christ.
Right.
Some people call it the goddess. You can name it anything. But there is a spark, I call it a holy divine spark that dwells within the heart of all of us. And I touched that aspect of myself and depended on it and leaned on it and let it guide me. And I found that as I left the corporate world and the world of work many years ago, I think I left the world of work about 30 years ago, and dedicated myself to showing other women how to heal themselves.
That's interesting that you said you left the world of work, right? You left the world of work, meaning on a daily basis, actually getting up, checking in with someone as opposed to checking in with yourself.
Absolutely, you got it. You got it.
That's hot.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Yeah.
And, okay, so this is a very deep and profound profession or calling.
I call it a calling.
Right, calling,
yeah, calling.
as you said, because your actual purpose is to assist people in that path of transformation. And it's a big responsibility.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Now, coming from being a domestic violence survivor myself, which I have shared with my viewers on various occasions, I totally get what you're saying from having to go to this place of self, internally, really deep and really honest.
Oh, yes. Because when you begin to do that inner journey, there's a lot of muck, there's garbage, there's ugliness within your own soul, within your own heart. And that's why people don't want to do this work, because you have to meet the devil within yourself. There's no devil out there.
Right.
They talk about the devil and the demons. You know where the demons are? Within your own psyche.
Right.
And when you meet them, most people run away. No more of that. You have to confront it, and you have to hit that mother lode of pain and woundedness and excavate. And that's a lifelong process that I'm still, you know, in the midst of. I still meet stuff inside of myself that's, you know, like shocking. You know, I thought that was healed years ago, but there's still remnants. There are always remnants because we are human and we live in this third dimension, and it's very hard. It's solid. It's hard to break up the stuff that's inside. But if you persist and know that everything is here, and I want to backtrack. You said it's a great responsibility.
It's a big responsibility.
But you know what I have found, Rhina? The responsibility isn't mine because it's not me.
Right.
When I'm working with an individual or with a group, the first thing I do is to remove myself. And I don't know if the audience can understand what I mean by removing that ego, that personality, that part of you that thinks you know anything. Because I don't know anything. I know nothing. And when I open my mouth, I ask God, the divinity, to speak through me and use me as an instrument and a vessel.
Nice. Yes, that's very well put. Now, with regards to CHING, what exactly, let's just elaborate a little further on what CHING is and its origin.
It's an oracle, like the ancient oracles that man has been using, humanity has been using, I guess, since the beginning of time. I know the Africans work with cowrie shells, and originally the Chinese created this I Ching with yarrow sticks. They use sticks. Now we use coins, we use pennies. It's a tossing of the coins, and they fall into a certain pattern called hexagrams, and there are changing lines. It's almost a science that you have to learn. And I have used tarot cards, I have used many oracles, but I find that the I Ching gets to the heart of the matter. The I Ching makes a real connection with your soul, if I could talk about, you know, your soul.
Right.
And in actuality, when you're consulting the I Ching, you're speaking to yourself. You're speaking to that essential self, that deep, deep part of you that I call it the Christ married to my soul self, that knows everything, that knows everything from
You know, this is very interesting because I also, in going through your website, noticed that you actually do these consultations via web, via phone. Like, you've actually modernized it to suit today's technology. Now, how are you able to really get in touch with someone's soul through that method?
Okay. The internet is cyberspace. All of this is just space. And we are energy within this space. Even physicists have reduced everything to intelligent energy. So if you email me a question, I sit in my space. And since we are all one, there's just one life, there's one energy. We humans have divided ourselves into separate entities, but in reality, there is no separation. You and I are one.
Right.
And whether we are sitting across the table from each other or across the world from each other, once we get into cyberspace, I simply close my eyes and I reach out for you. And I could feel myself touching your soul. I feel it in my own solar plexus and in my heart. And then what I do is I turn within myself and I ask your question to my divinity, to my God. And I know that the Christ that dwells in me is that same energy that dwells in you. And it doesn't matter where you are. So my Christ connects with your Christ. And the answer comes through me as just an instrument. And it makes no sense to me because I don't understand, but it's right on the money because it wasn't coming from my intellect. It was coming from that part of me that's you.
That's, yeah, which requires obviously going to a really quiet place in order to access, and requires a lot of focus and energy. And before we got on air, you mentioned something regarding the real heavy situation we're dealing with right now regarding women being trafficked, women trafficking, and how now you're actually looking to loan your services to these women to help them, you know, start repairing themselves or transforming themselves.
Yes.
As I personally choose to use in my terms.
Yeah, it is. It's self-transformation. It really is. I saw a show on OWN. I'll give Oprah a plug. I call her Goddess Oprah. She's an angel on this earth. Anyway, Lisa Ling did a special, and it was about underage sex trafficking in Washington, D.C. This was taking place a block away from the White House. And these are girls who are anywhere from 8 years old to, you know, teen years, and they're used for sex.
Right.
And when the program was over, I was very upset. In fact, I found myself crying. And, you know, what is this about, Toni? And then I realized, whew, getting emotional.
No, well, you know, let it go. Really, no, seriously, because it's just, you know, it's even hard for me to sit here and fathom that this is even still being exercised in our day and age, and it's entrapment is what it is. It's entrapment.
And it's so close. It's here in the Bronx. It's in Washington, D.C. It's in Ohio. It's all over the nation. I thought it was, you know, those people across the waters.
Right.
But no, it's right here at our doorfront. So then, you know, I go into my quiet place, and my question is always, how can I be used? What can I do? And it was very clear to me that I had to offer my services for free, not for money. And that's something that's a process also. We're so used to bartering our services or asking for money. But I am learning that whatever comes through me does not belong to me. So how can I charge for it?
Right.
So it's scary because you have to pay the rent, you know, you have to eat. But I'm learning how to just put myself out there and say, use me. How can you use me? I did a marketing, I'm an old marketing girl from, you know, 1980s, where I used to market cosmetics for, you know, firms. I learned how to market myself. So I did all the research. I have a list about that long, and I sat day after day after day sending out emails. Use me. You know, the whole package with the program. I created a program called Power Up, and it's about women owning their power. But these girls don't know where their power is. They think that power is outside of them. We all thought power was outside of self. But I want to sit with these girls 5, 6, 7, 8 at a time and lead them to the true place of power, which is right here, the heart chakra and the solar plexus. And that's where the divine resides in all of us.
Beautiful, beautiful. And thank you so much for coming on air and sharing that with all of us, especially as the holiday season approaches. You know, this is a season where people have a tendency to go to another place. I hear that it's a place of depression, and that there's a lot of, there's a high count of suicides during this time of year. And a lot of that has to do with a person's thought process and what they choose to focus on. So this whole process that you're sharing with us, even though it's geared towards women, women are, you know, obviously the matriarchs of their family. So it starts there. It starts there.
Listen, it's the women who make or break a nation, because the basis of any nation is the family. And if women don't take their role in the family, look at the world. It needs what comes from the heart of a woman. And that's what I'm trying to do. If we could get into our feminine power, then we can give some love to the world.
Beautiful. That's what I'm all about, spreading the love. So if someone wanted to obtain more information on you, they would go to ToniRoberts.com?
No.
Where would they go?
To www.livingfromtheinsideout.org.
That's right. You did say it's not about me, it's about the work.
It's about the work.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming
and
sharing
this
with us on the show.
You're a sister.
Yes.
A sister in spirit.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Kindred spirits. Love it. Love it. All right. Once again, we want to thank, excuse me, Toni Roberts for coming through. And once again, if you're interested in obtaining more information on how you can work in that place of coming from the inside out, all you have to do is go to www.livingfromtheinsideout.org. And, well, you know, she's also has a WordPress.com, so you can also go to ToniRoberts.wordpress.com. And we thank her very much for coming and just sprinkling some love and some reflection here in our studio. And I hope you guys take it with you as well.